Hello and welcome to the next edition of The Portal, a doorway that takes you into the latest happenings in the world of technology, leadership, and business. The topic for today, a very exciting topic, cutting edge topic on demystifying cybersecurity landscape. What are the opportunities? What are the challenges? And we're very fortunate that for today's podcast, we have with us a very eminent business leader. We have Mr. Rajesh Jain. Thank you, Rajesh, for participating in this event, in this episode. To give a brief introduction, Rajesh, in his current role, is Director and Practice Head of Product Security Engineering at Wipro. He's got over 2 decades of experience, and he's been a global leader in IT consulting, business solutions, very rich experience in the area of information security, product development, quality assurance, spanning across domains and geographies. Well, he has also played roles in advisory services, education and training, and also been a global leader across providing solutions for the US and Europe market. Well, apart from his professional career, he's also been an entrepreneur, right, Rajesh?
Yes.
Providing solutions to small and medium-sized enterprises. And as one of his interests, I just got to know that he's also a long-distance marathon runner. And no wonder that keeps him always progressive and always, in the hunt for better opportunities and better work. Thank you so much again for coming here.
Thank you very much for a glowing introduction, Vinay. This is a topic which is very close to my heart, and I'm glad I'm here to talk about this.
To jump into the very first question, Rajesh, can you help us understand the current state of the cybersecurity landscape, particularly in India? And if you look at India Inc., some of the pressing cybersecurity concerns and threats that the industry faces.
In terms of the overall landscape of cybersecurity, globally, if you look at it, digital transformation has accelerated quite rapidly.
Right.
And some of the key events which have happened to really accelerate it further has been the COVID pandemic,
Right.
which I believe accelerated the overall digital transformation by almost 5 to 6 years, if not a decade.
That's right.
And today, if you see, almost everything we do is digitized, in some form
Right.
or way.
Right.
In terms of the India's context, a lot of organizations are moving to online.
Right.
UPI has become a huge,
Yes. The best in the world.
Best in the world for us. And India has been leading in terms of the overall digital transformation in the fintech sector. So there is a lot of change in the landscape of cybersecurity due to that, because as we move more and more online, we do more and more things online.
Right.
It's not only about the organization, but also about the people.
Right.
Most of the aspects of what we do has been digitized.
Right. Right.
If I go and want to buy something, I can do that online today. My car, for example, is getting more and more, digitized, more and more software. I can, download software within the car. I can,
Right.
watch videos within the car.
Right.
So all that is
And connected vehicles coming to the future.
connected vehicles coming in. So all that is leading to a much larger digital footprint and presence for not only organizations but also for
Right.
the people.
Right.
And what that means is it actually poses a lot of challenges in terms of how do you secure that digital footprint and how do you keep it operating in a secure manner.
Right.
From an individual's perspective, that means how is my data, which is online, is being secured. The transactions which I'm conducting online are being done in a
Right.
secure manner. So these are some of the elements of the cybersecurity landscape which are there, which is
Right.
kind of being expedited by digitization which is happening over time. Now, specifically to India, if you look at, I talked about UPI. there are a lot of other sectors which are going through this transformation.
Right.
Fintech industry definitely has been leading in this. Biotech also, is catching along. Automotive industry also, is catching along.
Right.
There are a lot of regulations out there in Europe, for example,
Right.
where you are required to develop your vehicles in a way which are secure by design. So
Right.
all that is also kind of coming to India in some form and shape. So that is how I see the overall digital landscape, which is there in India as well, and the overall cybersecurity implications which are relevant for that.
Absolutely. And also, I hear, since we are in the talent transformation space, and there are a lot of industrial manufacturing organizations, a lot of demand that we see today on OT security. Right?
Absolutely.
So, any thoughts on that area? How is that connected to the overall cyber landscape? Because with the government also focusing a lot on made in India, make in India, security in manufacturing, or any thoughts would?
Absolutely. So OT, which is operational technology, has been pretty siloed in the past, and as you see, over time, there has been air gap systems which have no connectivity outside, so
Right,
they were
right.
deemed to be fairly safe and secure.
Correct. Solo, completely.
Mostly siloed and
Right.
managed that way. Over time, as more and more IT integration is happening with the OT environment, you see these OT systems also getting connected over time. And once they're getting connected, the similar kind of challenges which are there for typical enterprise systems are also getting relevant for the OT systems as well. And what that means is, and most of these systems are not designed with security in mind.
Correct.
They have been traditional, systems, actuators, sensors, which are gathering data and helping you run your infrastructure. Right. It could be transportation, it could be energy and utilities and all of that.
Right.
So they have not been designed with security in mind.
Correct.
But because of this, integration of IT and OT, same kind of threat vectors are becoming applicable for OT environment as well.
Correct.
And what that means is that we need to look at our OT environment, which is very, very important for the critical infrastructure as well, with a lens that, hey, how do we secure these systems and operate the system in a way which, and a very big element of OT is not only about the security, it is also about the safety. Okay? Because some of these systems are operating a critical infrastructure, and it's not only about the financial impact which happens. Let's say you have a data breach and some of the credit card data is stolen, so you have a financial impact on those. But here it can actually create a safety impact, which could be causing harm to people,
to the workers,
to the
plant.
So these are the two elements which are very, very important for OT environment, and I think there is a very important need to look at OT very specifically from cybersecurity standpoint.
So which means the whole world of cybersecurity, it's becoming all inclusive, right?
It is
across industries, and that's so exciting. Well, to move on to our next question, Rajesh, what are some of the key government initiatives that are being undertaken, in the cybersecurity space that companies need to incorporate over the next couple of years, and some check marks that people should follow? Any inputs on that?
Absolutely. So Government of India has had a lot of initiatives in this area. If you look at the IT Act of India, it talks about the measures organizations need to take to secure their operations, which are digital in nature. There are Indian cybersecurity framework
which have been established,
for banking sector as well, which requires financial companies, BFSI sector, to ensure that they have certain level of security operations center controls in place. Also MFA, which is multi-factor authentication. So there are different bodies of work which are out there from Government of India to govern and provide guidelines around what needs to be done by these organizations.
Got it.
And the most recent one, which is DPDPA Act, which is the Data Privacy Act, much awaited, has also been passed. It is yet to become a law, but I think that is also driving a lot of awareness, as well as security activities to make sure that your personal data is being safeguarded, it is being handled in the right manner, and the right of privacy is being given to the consumers.
Sure. I guess in the Western world, they're far more mature in terms of some of these guidelines.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure India is also getting there, right? A good start has been made by the government, but we are getting there, right?
Absolutely. And what I usually say is, we do not have to reinvent any of these. There is a lot of good body of work out there which is done, and typically Europe leads in these different standards and legislation. And a lot of that work can be leveraged in India as well, and then organizations can actually look at complying with those.
Absolutely, absolutely, excellent. Thank you for that. Now, how have cyber threats evolved globally and in India over the past few years? And what are some of the trends that you see shaping the future of cybersecurity?
If you look at the way technology has been evolving, right? And if you look at the traditional threats which have been out there, we talk about social engineering, and social engineering is you actually deploy means of compromising certain confidential information from the people through social engineering methods. It could be phishing, it could be cloning of your voice, it could be creating a sense of urgency and trying to get the personal information out of you. Now that has been the largest attack vector for people as well as enterprises.
Right.
Now the way it has evolved over time is with the advent of AI and ML, now you have the capabilities of all these deep fakes, for example, where you can actually not only clone somebody's face, you can actually clone the voice as well. And if you are tracking recently, there have been many cases where there could be AI generated voices which are very close to, let's say, somebody closer to you. They're calling you and saying, hey, I'm in a problem space, and can you please transfer me this amount? And it looks very, very realistic. And what happens is you are actually believing that and then transferring that amount and getting defrauded. So technology has actually enabled some of these threat actors to use this in a way which actually is helping them. At the same time, on the other side, it is also helping the security practitioners to ensure that they're able to detect and protect some of these, protect against some of these threats.
Okay, well, I mean that, so like a double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword, yes, absolutely.
But do you think these kind of threats that you just mentioned, is the general public, should we be scared of, or you think practices, the secure practices, again, probably leveraging AI, can actually mitigate some of it?
I think being scared is not going to help. What is really going to help is the awareness. And I think a lot of the population which is getting duped because of these kind of scams.
And we hear that time and again, right? Every other day.
Yes. And it is the population which is not aware of this. And many times they look so realistic. Even people like you and me can fall for it. Right? So I think ongoing awareness is very, very important. From the people standpoint. From the organization standpoint, keeping pace with the adversaries, the threat actors is very, very important. And I think a lot of players in the industry are collaborating to ensure that they have the right controls and the technologies in place which can help them keep ahead of some of these to
attacks. Address these. Excellent. Now, with most of the data, Rajesh, moving to cloud, right? What is happening in the space of confidential data moving to cloud, right? So cloud security becomes very, very important, right? So what is happening in that space?
The wave to move to the cloud has been happening for last almost 1.5 decade.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And it was not at the same pace as it has been in last 5-10 years, but it has been there for quite some time.
Yes.
Now the concern around data security has been very, very important in the cloud environment, because you are actually hosting your data in an infrastructure which you have no control over. Right. At least that's what you think. Right. But if you look at different cloud providers, they have a lot of security controls in place, which help them assure organizations as well as people that their data is secure.
Sure.
Okay. And in many cases, those security controls are even better than what a typical organization can implement
On-premise.
on-prem. So it's kind of a balance which you need to strike based on your overall at which phase of digital transformation journey you are in, and the kind of security budgets you have to actually implement those security controls. Every organization is using cloud today.
Right.
Okay, there are no two ways about it, right?
Right.
So you might as well be practical about it. Look at the how the data is being, what are the requirements from your organization standpoint for data security? Are you able to meet those requirements by having your data in cloud? In some organizations, you can't really keep your data in cloud. It has to be on-prem. So
Right.
there are no ways you can actually put the data in the cloud. But wherever it is permitted, you need to look at what kind of controls they're putting together to secure that data, and eventually in a cloud environment is a shared responsibility. Right. So they provide you different levels of protections, and you can actually pick and choose as to what you want, which kind of meets the security requirements for you.
Right. So which means one has to explore. There are solutions available.
Yes.
Right. And that's how one can address it. Now, coming to the angle of skill and talent, and how learning has to play a role. And so in that context, today it's all about, especially with the advent of generative AI, right? AI itself, the traditional AI itself has gained a lot of attention and prominence. So
Yes.
what do you think the emerging technologies like AI and ML have a role to play in cyber, both defense and offense, and real use cases of AI and cybersecurity? How do they marry?
Sure. So I just talked about the role of AI and ML in the offense part of it, right?
Yeah.
The ability to be able to clone, voices, ability to have more targeted, attacks.
That's right. That's right.
Ability to send emails which look very, very realistic in nature. Earlier, your way of detecting a phishing email would be there could be spelling mistakes and it is not well crafted. All that is gone.
Yeah.
Now you will have your emails crafted in a way which is very, very realistic,
Right.
and it would seem like as if it is coming from a genuine source.
Right.
So those are the abilities which these advanced technologies are providing you. So that's on the offense side. On the defense side, your ability to analyze large amount of data through these algorithms, which is humanly not possible. If you look at, if you're sitting in a security operations center today, the amount of data which is being generated by different devices, and the number of alarms which are being generated by these, there is it's not humanly possible to go through all of that, make derive actionable intelligence, and then take actions on it.
That's right. That's right.
AI and ML can help in that. Another element of what AI and ML can help in terms of generative AI is it can help you develop solutions and products which are more secure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It can act as a co-pilot, so to
Sure.
say. It's like it's like you have somebody supporting you while you're doing certain developments, and take the grunt work out of it, do that work for you, and then you as a overseer of that package of work can actually do review and all of that for it.
Right.
So delegating that work to AI,
Right.
generative AI tools, and then do a better value-added work on top of
On
it.
top of it. So because one of the industry concerns has always been that are my developers writing clean and secure double quotes, right?
Yes.
Code that has always been a concern. So like what you're saying is with the help of a co-pilot that at least at the base level from a base design perspective itself can be taken care of so that more reviews and validation on top of it. Rajesh, this being such a hot skill, many of our viewers watching this episode will be youngsters, final year grads. So any of your thoughts, inputs on what are the essential skills for young professionals as they look to pursue a career, right? I'm sure this is a very, very rewarding career because that's the need in the market. And associated with that, how do they prepare themselves in terms of right trainings, right certifications? Because many times people go all over the place. So any focused approach for them?
So if you look at the kind of options which are available out there in academia to kind of educate yourself on cybersecurity, those are very, very limited.
Right.
So if one wants to make a career in the field of cybersecurity, first of all, it has to be very conscious choice you need to make, and it also depends on at what stage of your journey you are. Let's say you are a engineering graduate in computer science or electronics or IT for that matter. You have already graduated. You may want to look at how do you add the cybersecurity skills to your portfolio and get a start. If you are actually making a choice to get to engineering college, you may want to look at what are some of these institutions which are offering specialization
in that
in the cybersecurity area.
And there are many institutes today.
And
right?
there are many institutes today who are offering that. Another, if you're somebody who wants to pivot your career from what you're doing to cybersecurity, and depending on let's say you're a developer and you want to become a cybersecurity focused engineer.
Yeah.
There are ways and means where you can update yourself. Let's say you want to continue to be developer but write secure code or write develop products which are security oriented.
Right.
So you can educate yourself on how do you really write secure do secure practices or follow secure practices.
Right.
So these are some of the things you can look at if you want to either enter the cybersecurity field or want to pivot yourself to that.
So let's say I'm a computer science professional. What are the fundamental concepts? So as a fresher, maybe I've got trained, but I'm sure if I come to an organization like yours, I will be given the benefit of the doubt, saying that we will have limited hands-on, right? Because exposure to industry is getting started. But for the benefit of many of those young grads, what would you say as the foundational concepts which have to be well embraced for them to actually start applying, get a break, so that they are seen as people who are serious, maybe obviously not an expert at all, but yes, a potential candidate.
So some of the other attributes which I see are important is your ability to solve problems. Another thing which you have to be very, very particular about is your desire to always keep yourself up to date with the latest developments.
Right.
Because it's like a cat and mouse game which you're playing.
Yes.
You have to be aware of what are the different technological advancements which are coming in. How are those relevant to what you're doing, and then incorporate that as part of your security practices. So that's very, very important. So I see these are the key attributes. One is your eye for details, your ability and desire to solve problems, and 3, having that core belief of slogging it out, making sure you're aware about what is going on around you.
Right. So typically, in terms of skill sets, Rajesh, what you have seen is, there are people who will do a certification. Any ideas on any certifications which you feel would be very relevant? Any industry certifications which you would recommend?
So from a certification point of view, I would say it depends on at what stage you are in. I would not recommend a certification when you're just getting started.
Got it.
Certification does tell you that, hey, you have certain threshold of knowledge,
right.
but it has to be backed up with the practical experience.
Right.
So for all the new grads and the freshers out there, my suggestion would be gain experience first.
Sure.
And then go for certification. But once you've gained certain amount of experience in this field, then to put a stamp on it and saying, hey, I am CISSP certified, which is one of the marquee certification in this, or any other certified ethical hacker, or there are plenty of certifications out there which you can look at. That also, so at that stage it becomes important for you to get a certification to get a foot in the door.
Got it.
But ultimately, what takes you through after you get your foot in the door is your experience to back it up.
Absolutely. Also, from a core, we are moving away from large-scale requirement of developer community, right? Decade and a half, 2 decades back, it was all how can you program better, and now with AI coming in and with cloud services available, it's no longer writing millions of lines of code, right? It's solving the problems, integrating, seeing how you can put things together. So from a security standpoint, I'm sure it's not again very programming heavy, right? But I guess there are some core concepts like a networking concepts, right? Any if you could throw light on what are some of those core foundational concepts which helps them to build their certification portfolio experience, and pursue a career.
Absolutely, very interesting question. The way I look at cybersecurity is in a life cycle of a product. You look at how the product is being developed,
right?
And then once the product is developed, it is being used for certain purpose, right? So when you're developing a product, that is the engineering part of it. You are actually engineering that product.
That's
you are
right.
writing code.
That's
you are
right.
building functionality which is needed, and then you're delivering that to the customer,
right?
Or you're using internally. And once that product is developed, how do you operate that product or a solution in a secure manner?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Now, when it comes to security engineering, in building a product in a secure manner, you absolutely need to be a very good programmer. You also need to be able to follow good coding practices.
Yeah.
Okay. You should be able to use certain tools which help you figure out, building those security elements within your, program which you're writing.
Right.
And on the other side, when the product and the solution is available for, your consumption, how do you operate that in a secure manner? Okay.
Right.
So your programming skills are very, very important. The security best practices and that technology framework, understanding of that is very important.
Right.
Your OS operating system, skills are very important.
Of that skills, yes.
Even the underlying infrastructure, which is your network, your other elements where these programs are being hosted, understanding of that is also very, very important.
Very, very important. Absolutely. And I guess a lot of it has to do with hands-on, right? As people, like you rightly said, rather than jumping into certification and ticking the boxes and getting a certificate, it's important to have that foundational knowledge so that they can build on a strong career. Now, moving on from freshers, Rajesh, to working professionals, from a product and application security perspective, we know that, I don't even want to ask you, we know that right talent is not available today, right? So your thoughts on what are the skills which are lacking, and how can organizations, I'm sure with organizations like yours, they are working in this space very aggressively, so they have found ways to mitigate and fill these gaps. So what are some of the best practices and what are the gaps that you see?
Absolutely, very, very pertinent question. And the supply of talent in the security industry, we all know is very, very low. And there are various reasons for it, right? We talked about not many institutions offering these courses,
Right.
and as the requirements around security is going up more and more, and there are many roles which are out there which you can look at. But how do you prepare yourself for these roles, right? The biggest challenge which organizations face is they have very generic skills available to them. You will find people who are good in Java,
Right.
C, C++, Go, Rust, all
Python.
these Python, all these languages, right? But then how do you mold these, people to be able to take up the roles which are, security, cybersecurity specific, right? So what we typically do as an organization is we have created our own security training academy where we take people with those fundamental skills in place, and then we upskill them in cybersecurity area. Now, for the people who are going to play the role of a developer or a security architect, and of course, security architect is a role which you kind of get to gaining certain amount of experience. But unless you're getting started and you want to become a security engineer in a development team, guiding them how to do secure coding, how to run some of these tools, we train them on those skills, and then they get started, get on the job experience, and then move further in that ladder. So that's what we typically do. We are also working with the industry, the academia, to create certain center of excellence, certain training modules which can be integrated within their curriculum itself. Okay. So these are some of the things we are trying to do.
Very nice. Well, again, from a lot of professionals who are looking to advance their careers in the field of cybersecurity, what opportunities do you see, especially for those who want to actually probably mid-career professionals, right? Trying to get into this field or advance their careers in the same field.
Yeah. So if I understood the question correctly, if somebody wants to pivot their career and who are already in the mid-career,
right.
So I think your reasons to pivot to cybersecurity has to be very clear.
Very strong.
Yeah, has to be very clear and strong.
Yeah.
You need to have the real rationale behind as to what is it which is motivating you to move to this field, right? What excites you about this field, right? And if you really think that this is the area, and in order for you to decide, you need to look at what are your foundational skills at this point of time, and how can you adapt and gain certain skills to move to make an entry into cybersecurity.
Got it. Yeah.
So that's very important, and many times you're in an adjacent area, and it becomes easier for you to move to this.
Yes.
You're a developer, and you want to become a security focused individual who is working on security products. It could be an easier transition, but you have to be very clear as to what kind of transition you're going to make, why you're making it, and then look at that.
I think we've seen that happening in the data science space. If I may share, is what we have seen is when you try to embed core analytics professionals into the industry, they bring in the knowledge of data science, machine learning, but they don't understand the domain.
Yes.
Right. So it takes a lot of work, and when they speak to those professionals who are on the shop floor, right, they don't get a buy-in.
Absolutely.
Because from their perspective, these guys don't even know what they're talking about, right? There is no synergy. So what has happened is now that we see everywhere, especially with the advent of generative AI, like I said, AI is getting a lot more prominence, is it's becoming horizontal. Whether I'm in HR or I'm in finance, right? I need to understand data crunching. I need to make data-driven decision making, right? So it's becoming horizontal.
Yes.
So I guess, correct me if our understanding, on my understanding, is across security, it become a hygiene and it's become a horizontal, right? Whether somebody is choosing to work on cloud, whether somebody is choosing to become a core developer, even an enterprise architect, right? This is a is a mandatory a hygiene skill which has to be democratized, right? It has to be available to everybody, and with the kind of threats and landscape that you're talking about,
No, absolutely.
there is no looking back.
And
Yeah,
I think this is how you can actually solve the talent issue as well.
absolutely. Yeah,
The
yeah,
talent supply
yeah,
issue.
yeah. Because you don't see it as a
Yeah.
separate, right?
You do not have a pool of people who can actually come and do it for you.
Yes.
So within the organization, we need to train people and or upskill them to be able to take those roles. For example, we create security champions in our development programs.
yeah,
And what a security champion is somebody who is acting as a team lead or a lead developer, trained on security,
Got
and
it.
then they going and evangelizing
that. Yeah.
and then having and ensuring that those the needed kind of security controls are being put in place. The people are following those practices.
Correct.
You cannot bring people from outside and do that, because there are not enough people to bring from outside.
Right. It has to be inside out.
Yes.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, looking ahead in summary, Rajesh, thanks for all great insights that we got to learn today. But in summary, looking ahead, what do you think will be the biggest challenges? A lot of it you already mentioned, but to summarize the challenges and opportunities in the entire landscape of cybersecurity.
Absolutely. So I think AI and ML, and they are not new. They of course have been getting a lot more attention, in last couple of years. They are going to, enable a lot of areas which were never thought of before. Quantum computing is another area where there is a lot of progress happening. And once that comes, we'll actually see a lot of what we are doing in terms of the cryptography algorithms and what we do to secure our data and communications becoming out of date. And there are efforts already in place where companies are looking at post-quantum cryptography and ways to handle that. So that's another big development which is happening in this area. But overall, I think there is a level of maturity, which has been coming. Earlier, if you looked at, it was being done in a very siloed mode, and because of the kind of advancements which are happening, there is a lot of collaboration, a lot of synergy, which is coming in. A lot of solutions are available out there, and if you have the right skills and the right mindset,
Right.
you are able to put all those things available to you at your disposal to ensure that you're able to secure the organizations and whatever you're doing in the online mode.
Right.
There is nothing called as 100% security. There will always be issues.
That's a myth.
Right? That's a myth. But at the same time, you have to make sure that based on the kind of risk profile you have for your organization, you're able to put certain architecture and solutions together which keep you safe and secure.
Yeah, yeah. And lastly, the buzz of AI, like you said, leveraging AI in cybersecurity, but security for AI, right? I think we can end with that. That's interesting because that actually talks about the kind of scope that we have.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. And so AI for security and security for AI. So AI for security is how can we use AI to enable security,
right?
To expedite and be ahead
improve
of
productivity.
Do data analysis in a very quick manner. How can we identify threats very, very quickly? How can we go through this huge amount of data and get out actionable intelligence from it? AI and ML can help very much with that. And security for AI is how do we make sure that the AI products and the solutions and the ecosystem, the LLMs which we are developing, they are secure in themselves. So I think that is also a area of I would say work which has been happening. A lot of developments happening in that area, and it's a very very interesting future.
Excellent. So security is all pervasive, right? Thank you. That opens up a whole new world of opportunities, right? And the kind
Absolutely.
of opportunities, challenges are there, but then opportunities for professionals like us to work on, being as a developer, as a security professional, as a talent transformation professional, as a leader like you, who are building those practices within organizations. Thank you so much for those insights, folks. So with that, we come to an end of this enriching episode. Really like to thank Rajesh once again, and for all of you who are watching this, please stay tuned, because there will be many many more such enriching episodes coming in the future episodes that we will have. With that, wish you all a great time, and thank you for watching.
Thanks for having me here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.